Just background was the broad CRD mandate, because I know you guys love to hear about the CRD, you know, or the great things that we do. Thanks, somebody laughed at that. 200 services, regional services, sub-regional services, local services, kind of runs the gamut. And the idea being that it's a service delivery mechanism to give communities what they're looking for in terms of service levels. So it varies and is all over the place. As Wayne mentioned, with respect to board's strategic priorities, they set 12 priority areas, of which climate change was the first priority, and the second priority was integrated resource management, which obviously consists of solid waste and some liquid waste residuals. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give a high-level overview of kind of where things are at this stage. And that'll certainly why Wayne has been emphasizing, you know, CRD's second biggest priority. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's make sure we're at least understanding how we're going to work together as a broad community as well as an island community to address some of these issues. So you can take me to the next slide. So just a little bit of history. There was a fateful day in 1973 where there was the CRD establishment bylaw created, and this was on the back of the province deciding the regional districts were a direction they needed to go. And as a result of that, one of the primary functions in creating a regional district was a solid waste service. And Anka will correct me when I get the facts wrong, but basically a disposal site and management of a disposal site is a primary responsibility of the regional district. And the disposal site and the primary site that's managed within the CRD is at the Heartland landfill in Saanich, which I don't know if you've all been up there, but it's a pretty substantial facility, probably about 40 years of regional airspace left, management of landfill gas, huge recycling facility there, consolidation. It's what we call kind of a one-stop shop with respect to dropping off everything from waste through the kitchen scraps, through household hazardous waste, those types of things. So the CRD also has a recycling mandate, and you guys understand the history, and through Peter, at least today, there is the recycling facility out on Rainbow Road. I got my road right, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And the CRD has a long history of funding that facility, and basically the idea behind that was to provide the equivalent to blue box service or curbside service, fund facilities that allowed the public, the residential public, to be able to come and drop a similar stream of materials off the facility. So we historically had a number of facilities that we funded. There's the big long story that we're not necessarily here to talk about of the MMBC transition and the fact that now there are funding levels that MMBC has put out there. Those funding levels do not cover the level of service that is required by a lot of island communities for sure. And so the CRD up till the end of, I'm going to say 2019 or April 2019 has covered off the funding differential to the tune of about $400,000. There will be, during the solid waste management planning process, some additional conversation to understand what the next steps are. And basically there's movement and an attempt to increase MMBC's funding levels to properly service areas that are isolated. And then there'll be a conversation with the board about what does the gap now look like and how to fund it. But there's certainly awareness that community recycling on the Gulf Islands, Salt Spring Island, and others is a critical piece of community infrastructure. So we've had a long and storied involvement of that. Hopefully we've been a positive piece of that puzzle, but we've occasionally caused Peter big grief. We'll do that. Next slide, please. So just background in terms of roles and responsibilities. The Minister of Environment, so provincially, is responsible for the Environmental Management Act. They're responsible for the BC Recycling Regulation. They're responsible for the Organic Materials Regulation. In other words, they set high-level regulation that tries to contain and manage risk and drive program development. As a regional government, the main piece that we work with what's called the Solid Waste Management Plan. So that's a document that is generally produced or refreshed every 5 years, and it basically gives a regional mandate around solid waste. It involves consulting with the community on solid waste issues, embedding a plan, getting that approved by the various electoral areas or electoral directors as well as councils, and then ultimately that gets filed with the province for approval. In terms of our division, which quarterbacks the solid waste management plan implementation, environmental resource management, which is the group that I'm involved with, our primary role is to implement that plan. So if any of you have been following, we have a plan that is a few years old. We started about 3 years ago to revamp that plan, and that plan development process has been put on hold as the region, in particular the core area, works through the sewage issues that there have been and ultimately work towards that project being finalized. And the reason the solid waste management plan has been delayed is because of the desire to investigate integrated resource management. So residual materials or waste from the solid waste stream combined with waste from the residual liquid waste stream, and understand are there synergies in treating those materials in similar ways or at the same time. And so while the board has been working through what it wants to do with that, they put the solid waste management plan on hold. The solid waste management plan, again, is our guiding document. We go out and consult a variety of people when that plan is developed, including your island for sure, and we try our best to make sure it integrates what the communities are looking for and tries to propose how to deliver that to the community and also fund that, obviously, which is the key piece. So the point of that is only we have a somewhat lapsed solid waste management plan, which as staff we're very anxious to engage the communities and get in action, but we have been in a holding pattern for a few years, and I hope to reignite that conversation sometime in 2017. Anka and I have a bet on that, and I'm not really sure who's going to win, but. So then when we move to local government, we have a variety of things. We have local governments who collect their own solid waste and bring it to the regional landfill. We have local governments who contract with the private sector to bring solid waste in as a local government service and collect and bring it to the landfill. We have a variety of municipalities who have private-only collection, and then in the electoral areas, we have predominantly, well, almost exclusively private collection or drop-off, with the exception of Port Renfrew, which actually has created a service, and historically, I'm not sure what year that service was created, Anka. Remember? 19-something. Plus or minus. So there's a service there that pays for a transfer station and then pays for the material to haul from the transfer station in Port Renfrew over to Harbour. That service is funded through taxes and is the CRD created service. So that is one option. It is the only funded transfer station that the CRD operates as a service. And then we have varying levels of service from private on most of the islands through to kind of a mid-level monitoring service where, as most of you are aware, there's a transfer station bylaw specifically for Salt Spring Island, which attempts to manage risk associated with transfer stations. And that bylaw was put in place at the request of the public after a long consultation process before my time. But the intent of that was to have the CRD regulate and help manage some of the risks in association with the Ministry of Environment and their environmental regulations. So we're either really involved, a little involved, which would be the Salt Spring example, or predominantly throughout the region, we are not involved in collection at all. What we do is we step back and we manage the landfill and we regulate bans and try to regulate through our landfill, and we try our best to educate and provide good and strong information to the community regardless of where you live in the region. If we can go to the next slide. Okay. I have to start doing because I said 10 minutes and I'm not shutting up, so my apologies for that. Talked about the solid waste management plan. There are some key components and tools. Bottom line is the province has a 2020 waste disposal target of 350 kilograms per capita, so bringing the waste disposal per capita down. Provincial average is over 500, and the CRD number, I guess you got the next slide, we'll just transition to that one, because it's really clear to read. So we're one of the smaller bars. So I think we're 345 Anka. You can't see it on there. It's a time where it's good to be below average, and we're definitely below average. We're the third lowest in the province, and that's a per capita disposal calculation. Way back, they used to talk about diversion rates, and everyone used to do this fancy mathematical partially rigged calculation, which said they were at 105% diversion, and everyone got all excited. In the end, where the province decided is, what you bring across the scale, divided by the number of people in the community, is the per capita disposal. Everything else, whether it be up or down, is a result of consumption, and it becomes a little more measurable one. Although when you live in a community that doesn't have lots and lots of industrial development, obviously your per capita disposal rate is down a little bit. So anyways, we're doing fine with that. You can go to the next slide, Anka.
Who are the lowest? The first two. Who are they?
So Cowichan Valley is the lowest. I don't know who, oh, it's Nanaimo. Cowichan Valley, Nanaimo, and then us. Cowichan Valley is actually under 300 kilograms per capita. They also have the highest tipping fee or disposal rate in the region. So they ship their waste for disposal to Ravenco in Washington State because they don't have a landfill. Our real landfill is full at it when it filled up. So as the tipping fees increase, people are motivated to recycle. They do a lot more recycling. The other thing they just happen to do, maybe accidentally, is accidentally go to Nanaimo or Victoria to take their garbage. And it goes on our number instead of theirs. Right? So, I mean, the common lesson, you guys get this for sure because you guys have to haul all your waste off, is that price signals work. And so if it's really expensive, it makes people think about being innovative, and different people think of innovation in different ways. Some are a little more creative than others, but in the end, price signal.
Some of it is in the bush, burning, or burying in your backyard.
True.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking innovation. I'm not talking necessarily great innovation. There is some good innovation, but people respond to the signal. Whether they do it in a constructive or environmentally friendly manner, I can't argue with that. So those are the two. That the lowest is Cowichan Valley. Next slide. These are really good. So we put these blurry ones up just so you can't actually tell what we're talking about. And that kind of so what we're going to do for sure is we'll make sure the slide deck is available. So we'll distribute that. My apologies for not having copies. Anki, you have a sign-up sheet somewhere? Maybe? So at the front, if you want to put your email on there, we'll absolutely send you copies of the presentation. We'll also get it through Wayne and to the CRD offices. So my apologies. So what that says is CRD staff and their contractors spent 7 days sorting through truckloads of garbage, weighing all the nasty, ugly stuff. And it's a process called a waste composition study, which is basically a tool we use to measure the success of our diversion programs, understand what's left in the garbage, and target areas that have potential, and also sit under our solid waste management plan updates. So it's colorful, it looks neat, but it is very, very interesting to understand the composition and then the opportunities associated with diversion. And so we do everything from commercial loads to multifamily residential to residential to people coming in with pickup trucks. And so there's a wide diversity of loads going through it, and then they just ratio the answers, put them into that. That is a 2010 study. ONCA's had a really good couple months because new numbers just came out for 2016. They're going to be going to the board in January. So we just had a study that was done and recalibrating those numbers, and we'll show where things are going. And again, what opportunities, where are we succeeding, where aren't we succeeding, where do we need to focus as we move towards managing our waste as responsibly as we can. So that's what that pretty graph is about.
Are you going to tell us a little bit what the main things are in that chart?
Sure. Absolutely.
You know, the bigger ones anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest pieces I mean, food waste, Anka, 30% in the 2010 study. I'm trying to,
Kitchen scraps combined, like the organics combined were 30%, yeah. Which
Right.
is, this study was done in 2010, so
Yeah.
that was actually one of the drivers for us to implement the kitchen scraps ban. Because when we were looking at the waste stream, that was the obvious next target for conversion. I just
So-
wanted to say, we do have some annual reports there that also have the
they have the 2010 numbers in it.
chart in it, so you're welcome to pick that up. And I did bring some copies of the presentation that you're welcome to pick up as well.
So the top three,
Yeah. Top three is.
food waste is the biggest. We've got about
Paper.
15% paper, 13% plastic, and about 10% wood. Those are the big ones.
10% what?
10% wood.
Good.
And so what happens is, I don't know if the ratios have changed here, but they've moved a bit, but more important than that is the pie has moved from, in this 140,000 Anka tons?
2010, we had about 143,000. It was actually a 2009, 2010 study. So from 2009 it was 153,000, went down to by about 10,000. Last year we were at 112,000 tons.
So the pie is
we
shrinking.
dropped significantly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
importantly, even if the ratios stay exactly the same, which they haven't, because I think the fruit slice for sure does shrink down, but the overall amount has decreased as well. So the overall pie is getting smaller, and then the ratios fall out of there. So we will absolutely be taking to the board revised numbers along with potential recommendations about what to do with the information. So the information is fine, but what action is that going to motivate and what program development will come out of that? So again, take the community to where it is interested in going. Next slide, please, Anka. The 5 are hierarchy. I was wondering if you guys could read it. Anyways, so I mean, this is what drives both us within the CRD as well as provincially, is the hierarchy that basically says, listen, the first thing you do is just reduce your consumption. Like, it's easy to say, and for some of us it's hard to do. Then you're going to reuse it, recycle it, you're going to go visit Peter. Then what we do at the landfill, we've got landfill gas recovery in there, so we're recovering the methane from the landfill, and we are using that to produce power at this point. And then we've got residual management, which...
Can you talk into the mic, please?
I guess that's why it's here, hey?
Yeah.
Sorry. So, bottom line is you're trying to make as few residuals as possible, and that's the 112,000 tons that Anka was talking about in 2010, or sorry, in 2016, which was 140 in 2010, which is basically what the calculation of 345 kilograms per capita comes from. So we're trending in the right direction, absolutely. We're looking at the studies to understand what we can do more of. And there are things all of us can do around just not buying stuff, and then we kind of work down all the way through, and we're left with residuals, which we try to manage in an environmentally responsible way at Heartland, ensuring that there aren't significant environmental impacts. So if you can flip to the next slide, please, Anka. So there are a series of slides, and I'm going to propose we don't go through them. So I can go through and I can talk about, okay, now this is what we're doing to reduce and encourage reuse, and then this is, we've got Peter, and we're going to recycle, and then we're doing some stuff for landfill.
Could you just go back to the previous, there was just a word there, I wasn't sure, in the previous slide. Can we just go to the previous slide, the one, no, next one? No, yes, what's that? Mycyclopedia, what is that?
You haven't been there?
No.
No, just kidding. So that's a CRD website that basically allows people to plug in materials they're looking to recycle, and then gives reuse opportunities, and then also shows a variety of places which you can then take the materials if you're looking to recycle them. So it's basically a database. It can be found on the CRD website under landfills, and then you can link over, or you can go to myrecyclopedia.ca. So I can go through a variety, and I guess I kind of leave it up to the group. I can go through a variety of things that we are doing, and maybe I will at a high level. I like to wander a bit. So reduction and reuse is the most effective piece, but it is also the piece that relies the most on the public to embrace the information that is there and to actually live it. So through my Recyclopedia, through the great work that Marika does at the Compost Center, we also have, I don't know if anyone's been out to the Heartland Learning Center, there's a center at the landfill which school kids come through in their top programs. We also have Heartland landfill relevant and recycling relevant pieces built into the curriculum for the school teachers to use as well. So there's a variety of tools that are local and specific that allow the word to get out. We also spend a lot of time on landfill bans. We regulate through the transfer station bylaw. We have a reuse area at Heartland. I will say it is nothing like the reuse areas on the island here. It's pretty impressive. We did a quick check of all the licensed facilities to show Marika around, and there's some really great work that is done here on the island, absolutely. If we can move to the next slide, in terms of recycling, if you've got any questions about recycling, just talk to Peter. That's my slide. I know there's other words, but just talk to Peter. Probably the biggest piece is just there's been so many transitions and there's been a lot of things going on with Multi-Materials BC, which is the not-for-profit that's in charge of funding and ensuring diversion of printed paper and packaging from residential households. Lots of stuff on there, lots of funding concerns. They're actually doing pretty good work, but it's really hard to do it in a bumpless way when you've got such a diverse system across all of BC. So we'll continue to monitor that, continue to work with our partners to ensure the surface level options are reviewed by the board and ultimately the communities get what they need, either through funding from MMBC or through other mechanisms. Composting. I hear somebody wants to talk about composting, or a few of you. So maybe I'll just give a bit of context. So there's been a number of changes. The provincial regulation, as I think I talked about a little bit before, it's called the Organic Matter Recycling Regulation. The province has just put in place changes to that regulation that indicate if over, is it 5,000 tons, Anka? If over 5,000 tons of compost is produced a year, you need to be licensed with the province. And there's a variety of reporting mechanisms. But in addition to that, the CRD has a composting bylaw, which basically ranges from that 5,000, I want to say 20 cubic meters. So if you are processing, basically backyard composting is fine. Once you go beyond backyard composting, there is a broad CRD bylaw that requires a number of controls, mostly of an environmental nature relating to leachate, odor control, and it tries to ensure some consistency and quality and ensure the compost is making the grade on the other side. What it does do is put a process in place that if you are looking to do a commercial composting business and you are not an agricultural property that is only processing your own materials, that there are rules and regulations that follow. So what we absolutely will do is ensure, certainly it's a response when we get calls in, is ensure that we provide information on the composting bylaw and the steps that are required, and ensure you engage people to understand the technology that they're considering and what the potential implications are in terms of having a licensing. I keep looking over at Stefan because one of the challenges is always where you're setting it and is it zoned appropriately, and that, I know you guys have no zoning issues on Salt Spring at all, but in the big city we do. No, it's good. So it's challenging because the other piece, and I'll talk about a lot of different things here, but the first thing we check when evaluating the licensing of a facility be that a transfer station or be that a composting facility, the first question is the land zoned appropriately? And we work with our partners, Lands Trust, to understand the property and understand the zoning, because we can't actually issue a license even if everything is lined up 100% unless it's on appropriately zoned land. So ideas combined with a lot of communication are how these pieces move through, and there's no doubt there's significant bureaucracy involved. It is there for a reason in terms of managing the environmental and social risks associated with these projects, and those are rules that are applied, certainly not just on Salt Spring, and are applied across the entire CRD. So it is what's there when it's been put in place by the CRD board. Interestingly enough, the 5,000 ton number and one that the province has put in place isn't that dissimilar to the rules we have in place as well. There's some common risks that are attempted to be managed for the common good on that. So I would encourage anybody who is considering a compost facility beyond 20 cubic meters or beyond backyard, as I would call it, that's bringing in materials off-site for commercial purposes, to engage both with ourselves and the Lands Trust to understand the parameters, to ensure you know what's required to get the approvals, let alone to be successful and understand the business model of how to make those work. Because it's got its challenges, but I think it's really important stuff to work through, and we're here to work and help you understand and try to figure out what may be possible. I don't know if it's worthwhile maybe even pausing now. I know when we did the introductions there was 4 or 5 people that had a composting focus, and I know my answer was incredibly thorough and clear. So I just want to confirm everyone has no questions. Yes?
So the kitchen scrap ban, the pie chart from 2010 was 30% kitchen scrap. What's the amount now in the 2016, do you know?
It is down by about 15,000 tons. I can't remember the percentage. I have in my head like 24, okay. It's 24% of a smaller number, but I can't. Anyways, the total tonnage it's down about 15,000 tons.
So when I talk to people in Salt Spring, people have not changed their behavior that I can come up with, and they're still throwing all the if they can't compost, they're throwing it in the garbage. And when I talk to the Blackburn transfer station, they say they've never been charged, nobody's ever checked a bag. So how are you putting it down? Like, you're measuring it at Heartland, but has anyone ever been charged, or do people know where the food waste is coming from that shouldn't be?
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about the process we had, and certainly after the results of the new waste composition study come in, it creates a catalyst for the conversation at the board level in terms of next steps. So the primary steps that we've taken is enforcement on large commercial loads. So think grocery stores, large restaurants, kind of the Costco through to the Thrifties, and ensuring that what we call predominant loads, so loads that are over 50% or are substantive, are enforced. So about a year ago, was it a year? 18 months ago? I don't know. We started enforcing with the large trucks, which started with a warning, then started with fines, and once they start getting fined and start increasing, again, it's that price signal piece. Once they start getting motivation, then they start working with the what was Antera at the time that was doing work taking over Harvest Power, which is now we've got our own transfer station, and we work with a company called DL Benz, which does some work in your community as well to do the hauling. So we have, the enforcement we've done has been focused on large loads. The next steps are understanding the desire of the board and ultimately the community to start narrowing down on that piece. So from an environmental perspective, what we do have, although a ban is in place, for sure, and we are working, and of course there's a lot of communities that do their own solid waste collection, so you can think of Sandwich or City of Victoria, which has a kitchen scratch program, which we have that thing, and it's easy, right? It just costs money, it's easy, right? But you've got to collect, and it goes to a transfer station, it goes across, all that happens. We still have both leachate and landfill gas collection at the landfill, so any material that does end up in the landfill in the short term, as we work towards figuring where that line is, Will generate methane, but that methane is collected and that methane is used at this point to produce power. Any leachate coming off that is contaminated is treated and then released. So that's where we are right now with that. Yes?
I just had some random suggestions about